السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Last week we spoke about the importance of action, and that if a person wants to get into Jannah, that in order to enter Jannah, anyone requires the mercy of God. And the mercy of Allah is accumulated by the good deeds and the actions that we do. Now, based on the next few chapters is going to talk about one of the greatest ways of attracting Allah's mercy and Allah's rahmah. If I can have one of the guys.
Eighth council, hypocrisy.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Bismillah ar-Rahman. My dear son, so what have you gained from learning scholastic theology, medicine? Sorry?
We did this council.
I don't think we did.
I summarized the points of it.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Ninth council, action. My dear son, knowledge without action is insanity, and action without knowledge...
I did this as well, right?
Okay.
Right? I did this as well, right? Yeah. Yeah.
We did knowledge, but it wasn't...
I summarized these 2-3 chapters. And you want to go through them, we can go through this last point again. You can go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead with the knowledges.
My dear son, knowledge without action is insanity, and action without knowledge is vanity.
He says, Al-ilm bila amal junoon. Wal-amal bila ilm la yakun. He said, trying to do good deeds without knowing if it's really right or wrong, or that's the way it's supposed to be done, is insanity. We don't know how it's supposed to be done. I'll give you an example. Parents, they try to protect their children and want good for their children, but at times they don't know how to do it. So what happens? It becomes counterproductive. So they're thinking in their mind that if I set these certain rules, then my children will be the best. But what ends up happening? We become worse. The strictest parents make the biggest liars from their children, right? It's because you're trying to avoid that aspect, but it's because they're trying to do something without knowing how to do it. That is why it's very important to know, to have that knowledge. Knowledge is the key to everything. Otherwise, if it was just worship or ibadah, Allah had angels. Our worship, this entire room's ibadah or worship, where everyone alive right now, their ibadah and worship, cannot equate to one angel's ibadah or worship in terms of how long they've been doing it. Since the day Allah created them till the day existence will cease. If they're doing sajda, they're in sajda. If they're doing qiyam, they're in qiyam. So in terms of khushu and khudu, they're not distracted by any other issues. They don't eat, they don't drink, they don't have friends, they don't have family, there's nothing. All they know, they're programmed just to do this. So when it comes to worship, we're not really here just specifically for worship, right? وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah says, I created you for worship, but that's not the specific only reason, because there is deficiency in our worship. Our job is we have this journey, and the beginning of this journey is through knowledge. Knowledge is the key to everything. Knowledge turns a poor person into a rich person, and a rich person into a poor person. It turns the one who has everything in the world in need. You can have all the money in the world, you can have all the respect in the world, you can have all the degrees in the world, but if you don't know something, and it's possessed by a child, you become in need of that child. You look at these CEOs, Zuckerberg and Musk and all these guys. They have everything. They're intelligent. They have it all. But then there's something they don't know. So what it makes them? They'll give a portion of their wealth to that person that I need this person's talent. And that is the value of ilm and knowledge. Knowledge, and they say knowledge is power. It just doesn't mean it's literally power. You can reign over the hearts of other people with knowledge. You can implant an idea and change an entire person's life with one line of knowledge. You can just say one sentence and alter an entire person's course of life just by saying one sentence. A lot of you chose your profession based on what? Someone said something. Few of you are just Googling up which makes the most money in 10 years. But a lot of it has to do with what? It's just someone said something, someone made a comment, and all of a sudden it's like, this is what I want. How many of you are on your career path because of a friend or a relative or someone said something to you? A lot of you guys, right? So it's the impact of just a phrase. How many of you have seen a person get a nickname just because in a joke someone said it one time and all of a sudden that's their nickname? It has the effect, right? Just implanting something in someone's mind. And someone says something interesting, right? They said that the effect of words and knowledge. So I'll give you an example. I want you to think of a octopus with 3 legs and 2 hands, sunglasses, and a perfect smile, with wavy hair, and I don't know what Squidward you're watching. Now, this image, have you ever thought about it? If you're normal, you haven't thought about it. Right? You never thought of something like creature that looks like this. If you're normal, you haven't thought about it. But I just took something that never existed and possibly no one ever thought of and just implanted it into your mind and left it there with just one line. And that's the power of knowledge. So it's very important to have it. G, continue.
Know that knowledge today will not distance you from sins, nor bring you into obedience.
But just knowing it doesn't change anything. You always have that one person who doesn't like studying or doing any schoolwork, but then you open any conversation and they know everything. They have an opinion about everything. They're the expert on every field. And then you think they're really smart. And then oh no, I'm not book smart. I'm street smart. Street smart. I mean, you're either smart or you're not. Either you're studying or you're not. You can't selectively choose it. Some people just like to have information, but they don't like to do anything with it. Some people like to have accumulate. Some of you guys switch majors. So you've learned everything and almost everything in a certain major, and then you switch it. So now all that knowledge, mostly what happens to it? It's no use if you're not going to implement it. Go ahead.
Nor distance you from the fire of hell tomorrow. If you do not act today and do not derive lessons from your past days, you will say on the last day, return us to our previous life, and we will do good deeds. And it will be said to you, O fool, it is from there that you have come.
Yeah, we didn't cover this one. On the day of judgment, after all of our deeds are seen, we'll just ask Allah for one more day. Right? Give us qarratan ukhra. Just give us one more time. Well, we said, you just came from there. You want to go, you just had an entire untethered life to do and to make me happy and to find your purpose in life. You had the opportunity. There is no second chance. There's no retakes to this exam. You guys have retakes to your college exams? No? Doesn't happen? Okay, I'm glad. But in the test of the akhirah, there's no retakes. There's no second chance. There's no another. That's it. Your fate is your fate. It's eternal. Then you have to ask yourself, what kind of life are you content with? Look at your life right now and see what you're going through. Imagine if this was your fate forever and you had the opportunity to change it. What would you do? To make it better, to make it happier, to have a better life. And that was told that that's it. This is what you're going to be. And you're going to exert yourself and trying to secure the best future for yourselves. And that's what you're all doing sitting in these chairs right now. But then you have a future beyond this future. And that's the true future. This all will become just memories, like your middle school years, high school years. The work of the high school year is paying off right now. But you can't go back and be like, give me another chance in high school. Yeah, you can struggle through it now. But a chance will come when not even this opportunity will come. And that's it. You're just in that one zone for eternity, forever and ever. And are you content with it? We're not content with our material lifestyle. How are we going to be content with... Imagine going on the day of judgment. Like, everyone's always got that one person they compete with, right? They got that competition. Everyone's got that little challenge. Imagine that person has a Jannah higher than you. Alhamdulillah for them. But imagine that person has a Jannah higher than you. Forever. But you have the opportunity to change that. You may not be the most smartest, you may not be the wealthiest, you may not be the most popular. But you can just add a little bit of extra good deeds into your life and excel beyond everybody. You don't even have to be able to have the ability to physically move to do good deeds to excel. You can be sitting in the seat that you are right now and just saying Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, while listening to this talk and increasing your status in the hereafter and earning for it. You just gotta do deeds smart. You gotta understand that every moment and every second is an opportunity to get closer to Allah. But are you cashing it or not? And if you're not getting closer to Him, then you're getting further from Him. There's no other way. There's no spot where you stay still. You're either going towards Him or going away from Him. There's no stagnant position. You either inch towards Allah or inch away from Allah. And you ask yourself, what am I doing at this current moment? G.
10th counsel, the grave. My dear son, plant resolution in your spirit and place defeat in your lower self and death in
he says, azima fi ruh wal hazima fi nafs. He says, what do? We try to fuel our passions and our spiritual selves. We break it and we humble it. I'll give you an example. You want something, you want a bag, or you want a pair of shoes, or you want some merch or something. What are you going to do? You go straight and you buy it, or you work towards buying it. But when it comes to trying to do a good deed, Ramadan's in 2 months. First day of Ramadan, I'm going to be in. I'm going to be like, my fast is going to be amazing. I'm going to change it. We fuel our nafs, which breaks us. And we starve our ruh, our soul, which brings us closer to Allah. And you have to do the opposite. Just the way you feed your nafs and its desires, you have to feed your ruh as well. And when you want to do a good deed, do it. Don't push it off. Because the moment you reflect and think, should I do it? Should I pray? Should I do wudu? That's shaitan. You know directly at that moment you're having a conversation with shaitan. If you ever had doubts, is shaitan talking to me or not? The moment you're trying to do a good deed and that whisper comes, do it later, that's shaitan right there. Shaitan has slid into your DM. And he's there talking to you at that moment. And that's why everyone, even if you don't pray, add the prayer app. 5 times a day you're going to hear that adhan pop up. And one day you're going to tell yourself, I should pray. And maybe you pray, but the people around you don't pray. And they'll hear the adhan, they'll hear the adhan, they'll hear the adhan, and one day they'll pray. To change society is not a process that happens overnight. It takes years, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes compassion. And with all of that, then society changes. The Prophet ﷺ didn't just come in and automatically change all of Makkah. No, he took 2 decades. And he saw ultimate success in the last years of his life. Otherwise, before there was like 313 people after 15 years, 313 people in the army, that's it. 313, that is it. You look at 6 years into the Prophet's life, 40 people became Muslim, that's it. After 6 years of effect and effort. Umar radiallahu anhu was the 40th Muslim. So, don't think that hope is lost, but just keep on inching people towards it. And know that everyone's soul is fueled differently. But our culture, so as many of you know that I'm writing the paper on the emotional and social factors that affect a person's spirituality, especially Muslim youth in America. And I just finished the paper today. And one of the things was being judged. Almost every age group found that when they're being judged, they want to do less. And it's not about right or wrong, right? It's a societal issue. Our society tells you, just do it. Be what you want. You can do anything. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of? Happiness. If you are happy being a alarm clock, go be an alarm clock. To you. That is, you do you, right? But Islam's whole concept is what is the opposite. The whole philosophy of Islam, literally, what does Islam mean? Submission. When you submit to something, is it that you want to do it? If you wanted to do it, you wouldn't submit to it. When a person's getting tapped out, that's called a submission. Why are they tapping out? Because they want to tap out? No, because they don't. But that's where you rise. There is no concept in Islam, or there's no hadith or something that tells you that the whole purpose of Islam is to feel a spiritual high. I know a lot of people are looking for the spiritual high, but that isn't the actual purpose of Islam. It's a common misunderstanding. There's no Quranic verse or hadith that says that if you don't feel a spiritual high, you're not a Muslim, you're not this, you're not that. But Islam is built on following commandments, following a certain way of life. And in there, even if you don't find those spiritual high moments, that following through it, you're going to find Allah. And you're going to find a level of peace and contentment. And that's the ultimate purpose of it all. Do you continue?
For your true destination is the grave, and the people of the grave are awaiting you at every moment.
So he says that your time above the ground is, your time under the ground is far longer than your time above the ground. That's your asl place. That's your home without a mortgage. That land, there's no person here that's not going to get a spot in the grave, right? It doesn't mean it's physical spot, but it means like it's the metaphorical realm, alam barzakh. Every one of us has to go there. And at least once a month, maybe you can do this part of the MSA or something, take a visit to the graveyard. Walk down the rows, and nothing hits you until you see somebody who passed away that was younger than you. Then you realize you have already exceeded your welcome. You overstayed your welcome. And you know that nobody is out of the clutches of death. Don't know if this will be the last discussion and meeting we'll have with each other. And you never know that this is it. We'll never get a chance to see each other again. So your time in the grave is the longest. I met this young boy one time in San Francisco. I went there. And he had a very interesting story. His dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Or doctor said, you barely have any days to live. So the guy went and got his grave hollowed out. And would go and inspect it and see, this is where I want to get buried, this is what I want, and this is what I wanted to, can you imagine accepting your mortality? He's like, and then it was a more emotional story than that. A few years later, the kid found in one of his jean pockets $10,000, and in there the note was ran that, my boy, I knew my time was up. This isn't for your college education. This isn't for a house payment. This isn't for anything else. This is for you to just enjoy life. This is for you just to know that any time you want to have something good in for yourself, and that I can no longer be there for you, enjoy your life. Be happy. But it's about accepting one person's mortality, right? It's understanding that we're not here forever. That we have a certain expiration date. No one knows that they're going to make it to 20, 30, 40. You're worried about marriage and you're worried about graduating. You don't even know if you're going to make it till then. But one thing you know for sure is you're going to make it 6 feet under. That's guaranteed. Your graduation is not guaranteed. Your marriage isn't. Your children are not. I have so many friends and classmates who married very young. Till today, they don't have children. I met a friend of mine recently, and he was just mentioning the same thing to me. He said, Allah's taken a lot of work from him. He said, perhaps it's because I don't have children. He's been married for, his engagement was done before he entered Alim course. He was 16, 17 years old when his parents were like, all right, you guys are getting married. It wasn't even to a cousin. I asked him, I was like, you sure it wasn't your cousin? He was like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm like, dude, who gets arranged marriage to without cousins? He was like, yo, it just happened. And he went for 7 years Alim program. And after that, he got married. And he's it's been almost 15 years he knew who he was getting married to. It was just Allah's decision. And then I met someone who said, I don't want children at all. I'm not going to go into the discussion of should you have children, should you not have children, this and that. That's a long discussion. All I'm going to say that the Prophet ﷺ said, Tazawwaj al-wadud al-walud, that the philosophy of marriage is to have children, because on the Day of Judgment, inni mukathirun bikum al-ummah. The Day of Judgment, I will boast that I will have the greatest ummah. Children are tough. They give a lot of pain. They give a lot of harm. But aren't relationships the same way? What makes it worth it? Those moments of love and those moments of happiness justifies all the pain. Most of the time, not all the time. But when it comes to children, that's a different type of love. And especially if you're a sister. When Allah talks about the Prophet measures the love of Allah, he measures the love of a mother to her child. Not a father to a child. A mother to her child. And it's 70 times more than this. And I know today it's well, why are we being just reduced to mothers? I understand that sentiments and I understand that frustration. But also don't reduce the roles of mothers at the same time. If you don't want to be one, that's your choice, but don't undermine the sacrifices of the ones who've already put it that way. Is that fair to say? Okay.
Take care.
I don't want to be mansplaining these things. Gee.
Take care. Beware lest...
And you know what sucks even worse? If somebody has a bag of chips that smells really bad and they pop it open, or you're on an airplane and someone pops open their dal chawal.
Or takes some dishes.
Yeah, and then at that moment, all of a sudden you're just like, what is this smell? Imagine going into your grave and there's no gas station on the way. There's nothing. But you did it. You packed for your grave yourself. You make your own luggage. You make your own lunchbox over there. The second thing is that if you have bad deeds, that's like a smelly car and you're stuck inside. The other day I teach a class of high school kids. They're so bad. But I love them. So I was just we had a guest speaker there. Before he went there, he was like, man, the kids are so loud, this and that. So I got on the kids and I was like, yo, you guys got to stay quiet. And I was like, these kids, I know them. I was like, they barely listen to me. Where are they going to listen to anybody else? And after the speaker left, he was like, they were very well behaved. And I was like, you sure, man? I couldn't believe it. I was like, you sure they're well behaved? He's like, yeah, so I called the kids. I was like, yo, I heard y'all were well behaved. Like, dude, Mufti Wasim, it smells so bad. Everybody was covering their nose. That's why nobody was talking. And I was like, that makes sense. Like, I might just change the whole environment of the lecture from now on. But the point is that imagine being stuck in that stench, and that's the stench of your deeds. Your deeds don't leave you. Your snaps don't disappear. They're all logged. You're going to see every action back, every moment back, every private moment back. You're going to see it all back. It's going to have it's going to stay with you. And when you pass away in the grave, you see your good deeds as a individual. And you see your bad deeds as an individual. And they're like a friend for you. And they chill with you. And they give you a certain level of peace and calm. And there's good smell coming from them. They look beautiful. And you want to look at them more and more. But it's your bad deeds you don't want to have nothing to do with, but you're stuck in a grave. It's just you and your deeds. And they're a personification of them. This is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And all you do is you live in this constricted place, claustrophobic spot. But when you are close to Allah, Allah expands the grave. Gives you, as far as your eyesight can go. There's no house you can buy in this world that'll be that big. But Allah will give you a grave. And He'll just show you that this is the advertisement. This is the trailer to your Jannah. He'll open a 4D experience for you where you can feel the wind of Jannah, smell Jannah, experience the pleasures and happiness. And the time in the grave will go back quick. You know, have you ever been, this might be an experience that not many have been through, but have you ever been through like this time where you're about to fly and you go to like this airport lounge or something? Anyone here? A few people, right? If you go into an airport lounge, the air lounge is really, really nice, especially if you're ever traveling business class or something like that, right? You're trying to enjoy the lounge, but then your time is up and you have to go. And then you think to yourself that, oh man, I wish I stayed longer in the lounge. But you understand that the next stop, the business or first class, is going to be far better than what the lounge was. The lounge was amazing in its own respect. And the same thing will be with our graves, that the grave will be amazing in its own respect. But you'll wish that you stayed longer in the grave. Who wishes they're longer in the grave? But that's because of your good deeds and your actions. Continue.
Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu said, "These bodies are but cages like those of birds, are like the stables of animals. So consider for yourself of which you are. If you are of the heavenly birds, when you hear the roll of the drum, return to your Lord. You will fly upwards until you reach the highest." So
when you pass away, especially a shaheed, a martyr, the hadith says that their souls are placed inside green birds. Now, Allah knows if it's a real bird, if it's not, but it seems it might be a jet or an airplane. And they're toured around Jannah. And they're toured around the heavens. This is where you're going to be. Aerial view, helicopter view. And you get to see your Jannah, and then irji'i ila rabbiki radiya fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. And then they're told, come back into my servant. Right, so they are given this tour of Jannah. But if not, and you don't have good deeds, then your body becomes the food of insects and scorpions and bugs and mites in the ground. You can have the most amazing six-pack in the world, but when that cockroach is on it, it becomes nothing. You can have the most perfect nose or the best makeup on or whatever you want, but once you go down there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter what your external shell was. It doesn't matter how many followers you had on social media. It doesn't matter your clout. It doesn't matter how much money you have. None of that sticks with you. None of it does. Only what you do remains with you. Only the good you do. And guess what? If you've had a bad life, or if you've had a struggling life, or you've struggled to get close to Allah up until today, you know how long it takes to come back to Allah? It takes just this much. Ya Allah, forgive my sins. Ya Allah, forgive me. And give me the strength not to commit sins again. That's it. That's it, and you're His. You become His. That's it with this one line. There isn't this course. You don't have to go to rehab. You don't have to take some safety driving course or something. No. This is the only thing that you can spend a lifetime away from Him and say one sentence and you're back in His grace. It's like, you know that one toxic relationship where you realize that this person's so bad for you, but then they message you back. First of all, they leave you on red for like 3 days. And the moment they're messaging back, you're almost responding right back. Well, the example might be bad, but this is what our relationship with Allah is. We leave Allah on red for weeks and months, and we don't respond to His call. The But then the moment we take a step towards him, Allah says, yeah, this is mine. They're mine. And as if nothing else before ever happened. So take the moment now and talk to your Allah from your heart. Don't wait till my sentence is over to have the conversation now. And ask your Allah for forgiveness. Know that you have done tawbah and understand and believe Allah has forgiven you. Make it sincerely. If you're doing something haram and you have the ability, break it. What's the point of the pain that's caused afterwards? Is it worth it? Break the haram now. Vie towards good. We don't know our moments of life. We don't know how long we'll last. Jay, continue.
Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the throne of the compassionate shook at the death of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh.
Sa'd ibn Mu'adh radiallahu anhu was a Sahabi who passed away, and when he passed away, ihtazza arsh al-Rahman. The throne of Allah began to rock, shake. What does ihtazza mean? Like, it doesn't mean like it would become like a rocking chair, but it was excited that the soul is coming. Like, imagine it. You know how people are rocking back and forth at one of those, what is that concert called that you all went to? Astro World. Yeah, you know at Astro World as everyone is shaking back and forth, and everyone is going up and down. In the same way, ihtazza arsh al-Rahman. I met one young man. I said, how was Astro World? He said, it was so dirty, alhamdulillah. He was, there's so many people, mashallah. And I was like, I think you've got the whole philosophy of it much wrong. I said, you've got the whole understanding of it much wrong. So it shows the exuberance. It shows the exuberance of the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the throne of Allah, when Sa'd ibn Mu'adh passed away. And when a hadith it comes that there were so many angels present in the janazah of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh that the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba were tiptoeing. They said that his body felt so light. Like, you can live an entire life of being known. I've seen this. I've seen people hella popular. And then when they pass away, or their friends or their family or relative pass away, nobody popped up. Nobody showed up. Then I see these unknown people that nobody knows who they are. And your janazah decides who you are. That's your final prayer. That's your final moment. That's your final party. That's your final event. And guess what? Your closest friends will be the first row of your janazah. And if your friends are people who can't even read Salat al-Janazah or don't even what are they going to do dua for you? You're investing hours and hours behind them, weeks and weeks in group chats and a life behind them. Your happiness and sadness is built on them. They don't invite you somewhere and you get all salty and stuff. But what happens if they're on the day they're yo, they passed away, rip. It's this far, I can't make it there. And then what happens? I met a guy, his father passed away when he was probably very young. It's literally 2 nights ago this story happened. And he was talking to another friend of mine whose father is alive. And he was like, they live close to each other. He's like, when was the last time I asked him, when was the last time you visited dad and mom? And he was like, I visited him, it's been 2 weeks. So the kid responded and he said, dude, it can't be that I'm visiting my dad more than you're visiting your dad. And his dad had passed away. He was like, I go to the graveyard more than you visit your dad while he's alive and talk to your dad while he's alive. It's like, that can't be that can't be the thing. But it made me think for a second that what kind of legacy would I leave? How would I be remembered? Will I have children? Will I have a family that would actually do dua for me and people that would actually do dua for me? Or just be like, oh, that was, we just knew that person. May Allah forgive them, and that's it, and this ends over there. Decide your friends, because they're your investments when you no longer can do good deeds. They're your sadaqah jariyah. They're the ones who will push the levels that you have lacked in. They'll be the cushion where you diminish in. Ji, continue.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save you as if you were one of the animals. As Allah the Exalted says, they are like cattle, nay, more misguided.
أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ. Allah says that when a person has no motive, what's the difference between us and the beasts of the earth? If it's just eating or drinking, they do the exact same thing. They eat and drink from everywhere. We also eat and drink from everywhere. We don't care what halal or haram is. We just eat from everywhere. And they fulfill their intimacy however they want. What do? We also do the exact same thing. They don't listen to anybody. We don't listen to anybody. There's a whole reason why humans are unique. It's because they govern themselves with a set of laws. They govern themselves with a code of ethics. And there's a discipline behind it. Otherwise, when it comes to, we're also animals as well, aren't we? We're part of the animal kingdom, right? Or no? Yeah, okay. Just making sure. Gee. In Arabic, we're called haywan natiq, the animal that speaks. Gee.
So do not consider yourself safe from the removal of the security of your home to the fire of hell. It was narrated that Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah, was given a drink of cool water.
This is powerful. Hasan al-Basri was a powerful scholar in terms of his influence and his dedication into the realm of hadith. And the interesting thing about Hasan al-Basri is that when Hasan al-Basri narrates and says an in hadith without mentioning his teacher's name directly, that hadith is considered weak, even though he was a great scholar. Now, just to give you an idea of what weak hadith is, Hasan al-Basri is known as something called a mudallis. And a mudallis is someone who hides the name of their teacher. So instead of saying that I heard directly, they just said, so for example, there's Zuhair can say, I heard from Mufti Wasim, Mufti Wasim heard from his teacher Mufti Rada, right? Now let's say that for some reason he doesn't want to mention my name. So he says that Mufti Rada is quoted to say, but he's never met Mufti Rada in his life. So some of the scholars would do this because they'd want it for political reasons, for whatever reason, they would hide the teacher's name. But because now there's a question of credibility of this one individual in the link, this hadith is called tadlis, especially if it's from a non-Shami person, when it came to Hasan al-Basri. From a non-Basri person. And so even though he was a great scholar, he grew up in the home of the Sahaba radwanullahi alayhim ajma'in. And when he entered Baghdad in the time of Harun al-Rashid, there was a commotion, and it felt like there was a rebellion, and Harun al-Rashid literally thought that he was going to get overthrown. So he asked his wife Zubaydah. He said, she was a remarkable woman. He said, Zubaydah, is there a rebellion? What's going on? She said, no, the real king of Baghdad has entered. And the famous quotation, ليس الملك الذي يملك على رؤوس الناس إنما الملك الذي يملك على قلوب الناس, is understood from here that the true king is not the one who reigns over the bodies of people, but the true king is the one who reigns over the hearts of people. Anyone can hold a child in their home. Anyone can bring a relationship and put a ring on it. But if the heart belongs to someone else, you can do the world for that person and they will never be yours. That is why learn to conquer people's hearts. Not try to place rules and try to place ideologies on them. Learn to enter their hearts. And if you are in someone's heart, إِنَّ الْمُحِبَّ لِمَنْ يُحِبُّ مُطِيعُ, then the one who you love, and there's love involved, and you listen to whatever that person says. Today we try to fashion ideologies and principles and try to present those to people and want them to fit our diagram without actually conquering their heart. Conquer their heart first. Gee. We have 4 or 5 minutes left?
I think so.
Oh,
Sure. It was narrated that Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah, was given a drink of cool water. He took the glass, whereupon it fell from his hands, and he fell unconscious. When he regained consciousness, he was asked, "What is the matter, O Abu Sa'id?" He said, "I remembered the desire of the inmates of hell when they say to the people of paradise, 'Give us some of the water or some of the provisions that Allah has granted you.'" 750.
It's the filter that they apply. You all got that. There was that one time when that dog filter was really popular. And now what filter is popular? I see all these things switching around on the head. Was that a TikTok filter or Instagram filter? Where they see which character they are, or is it? What is it? Instagram? Okay. My Instagram is safe from all these things. It doesn't accept these type of things. But what's the new filter these days? What's the trending filter? You guys are acting like nobody uses social media now. It's the new filter, Taha. I know you're big on these things.
The character thing that changes.
That's the new one? That's kind of old. It's like 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
That's still trending now?
I think the most recent one I saw was like what Harry Potter character.
Which Harry Potter character are you?
I don't know. Never tried.
We should try it right now and just see the sorting hat and see where you go. I'd say Gryffindor. You seem too sweet to be Slytherin. Or maybe Hufflepuff. Yeah, Hufflepuff is what I'd give you. Yeah. But anyway, Mehran is definitely Hufflepuff. Is he here? Anyway, so in these people, they have the filter of Allah in their eyes, right? So they can just drink a cup of water and remember the hereafter. They don't need to hear lectures. They don't need to hear like Merciful Servant with the with the nasheed in the background. You know, whenever I check the comments of like someone posts a lecture of mine, most of the comments are worried about the nasheed. Nobody cares about what I'm saying inside. They're like, oh, what's the nasheed? Where this amazing nasheed? And I'm just like, what about the stuff that I just talked about right now? No one cares about that. But these people, to them, he drinks a cup of water and he remembers automatically what? That on the day of judgment, this is going to be a luxury that billions won't have. And they will beg for it. And they will ask the people of Jannah. And today you can access it, but what happens on the day that you can no longer access it? It's وَفِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ آيَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَىٰ أَنَّهُ وَاحِدٌ. Everything can remind you of Allah. I had a teacher, Mona Suleiman Choksi. The man was brilliant. He knew his Quran like somebody knows their social media accounts. This man could walk through a grocery store into the aisle of fruits and vegetables and recall ayats of the Quran and describe verses of and quotations of hadith and scholars and give you an iman high in the middle of a fruit and vegetable aisle. I've seen it myself. We were walking one time and he just sat there just quoting verses of bananas, and there was pomegranates there, speaking about pomegranate over there, and we're just sitting there and our hearts are filled with iman in a grocery store. And that's what happens when your heart is connected to Allah. You can get that spiritual high at any time. Every moment is a moment of reflection. Every individual and everything brings you closer to Allah. I mentioned to you, you are either getting closer to Allah or further from Allah. There isn't a secondary alternative. You can't stay stagnant. G.
Yes, no.
Is that the last council? Was there more? A lot more.
These are just like footnotes here. I don't think you want me to read those. Yeah, that's the end of the council.
That's in the council. So is there any questions?
You're talking about Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh radiallahu anh, and his janazah and how the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was shaking. Why was his so special?
He was also one of the leaders from the Ansar. And he had, there's a certain distinction and honor and value Allah gives to the leaders. And when they are good, Allah gives them a significant honor. Al-Imam Adilun, right, under the throne of Allah. And when they're bad, then Allah holds them even more accountable. That's the law of Allah. If He holds you more accountable, He also gives you more as well. So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh had a very unique relationship. And at the same time, his departure left a lot of people, because he was a leader, it left a lot of people with shattered hearts inside. And to further excel that feeling and that emotion, it is mentioned that forget the people on earth, even in the heavens, there was a different phenomenon going on. And the Prophet ﷺ was a brilliant strategist in the sense that he knew how to condole people. Like even in loss, he knew how to put a smile on your face. Even in pain, he knew how to make you feel happy. And that was the remark, and that's how you know that he was God sent and he was divine.
He was also a shaheed, right? Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh?
I don't remember. If somebody remembers, they can quote. I don't remember. Jay, that's it? Yes.
Earlier, we were talking about how ilm bila amal junun. Can you expand that a little bit?
So, Imam Ghazali rahimahullah says, al-ilm bila amal junun wal-amal bila ilm la yakun. Right? So he says that if a person is just learning Islamic knowledge and never acts upon it, he's like, then that's stupidity. It's because you are increasing the claim that Allah will have on you on the Day of Judgment. You're just learning, and may Allah protect us. It's more for us who are involved in the field of knowledge. That we're learning for what? To go tell others, to post it. The first thing is, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِكُمْ نَارًا. The first thing it applies on yourself. And then on other individuals. Other people are secondary. You know when you hear a hadith and you're like, oh, I should tell my friend this one. No, absorb it first. Everyone else comes second. People should learn from your actions. Secondary from your words. Your approach of changing people should not be first and foremost through telling them. Your lifestyle should automatically influence other people. And that was the philosophy of Sahaba. Kunu mithlana. Follow our example. Just replicate your life like mine. What do we say? Islam is great, just don't follow me. Does that make sense? Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. We have Ustad Isa with us, inshallah. He will lead the Maghrib Salah. And after Maghrib, give us some nasiha to us, inshallah. So everyone is requested to stay for that. Assalamu alaikum.